All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to travel back in time, way before the country of Nigeria even existed, to explore a really fascinating question. How did people organize themselves? We're about to find out that there was some seriously clever and diverse political systems already in place. I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. When you don't have a parliament or a written constitution, how does society even work? Well, the area we now call Nigeria was this incredible landscape of political experiments, and each one had its own unique answer to that very question. Okay, so before we go any further, let's get on the same page. When we say political organization, what do we really mean? It's basically the how of a society. How do you keep the peace? How do you make big decisions together? It's the rule book, the blueprint for how a community agrees to live with itself. Our first stop on this journey takes us to the southwest, to the Yoruba kingdoms, especially the powerful Oyo Empire. Their answer to the governance question was a really structured one, a centralized blueprint. I just love this analogy because it makes so much sense. Picture a giant yam in the ground, right? It's one solid thing with one main shoot coming out the top. That's the perfect way to think about the Yoruba system. Power wasn't just scattered all over the place. Nope, it was concentrated, with the very clear source of authority right at the top. So, you've got this really organized structure with the Alafin, the king, at the very top. But, and this is a huge but, he wasn't some all-powerful dictator. You had this council of kingmakers, the Oyomesi, and they not only chose the king, but they could also get rid of him if he became a tyrant. Then, below them, you had the Bale running the individual towns. It was this really clever system with checks and balances built right in, making sure that even with the king, power never went completely off the rails. Okay, now let's do a complete 180. What if you looked at that whole system and said, you know what? We don't need a king at all. Over in the southeast, the Igbo people developed a political philosophy that was basically the polar opposite of the Yoruba model. And this was the heart of it all. The Igbo system was decentralized. It was republican. So if the Yoruba system was that one giant yam, think of the Igbo system as a field full of mushrooms. You've got lots of individual heads, all connected underground, but no single mushroom is the boss of all the others. Power belonged to the community. So, you're probably wondering, how on earth do you run things without a king? Well, power was spread out. You had a council of elders who had to talk things out until pretty much everyone agreed. That's consensus. Different age grades had different jobs, kind of like a community civil service. And here's the really cool part. Your status wasn't about who your parents were. It was about what you accomplished. You earned your respect. And in the General Assembly, the Amala, every single adult man could have his say. Your voice mattered because of your merit, not your bloodline. And this just lays out the difference so clearly, doesn't it? The Yoruba system, leadership you're born into, power flowing from the top down. The Igbo system, leadership you have to earn, with decisions made from the ground up by agreement. Two completely different but totally effective ways of organizing a society. All right, for our last stop, we're heading north to the Hausa and Kanem-Borno empires. Here, a whole new ingredient gets thrown into the political mix, the influence of Islam, and as you can imagine, that created another completely unique and very sophisticated way of governing. What you end up with is this incredible administration where faith and law are one and the same. You've got the emir at the top. He's the absolute political and spiritual leader. His right-hand man is the waziri, kind of like a prime minister. The chief judge, the alkali, based every single ruling on Islamic law. And the hakame were the guys out there running the districts. It was essentially a theocracy, where the whole idea was that earthly order should reflect divine law. That gave the state a really powerful moral and legal foundation. Okay, so let's zoom out. We've looked at three totally distinct models: the Yoruba centralized monarchy, the Igbo decentralized republic, and the theocratic Northern Emirates. So, what's the bigger picture here? What do we see when we bring them all together? This table just nails it. You can see the huge contrasts all in one place. You've got two systems that are highly centralized, but they're based on completely different sources of power, one on tradition, the other on religion. And sitting right there is the Igbo model, which is completely decentralized and republican. The most crucial point is just the sheer diversity of political thinking that was happening in one land. And this right here is the single most important takeaway from our whole discussion. It is so easy to fall into the trap of calling pre-colonial societies simple or primitive, but that couldn't be further from the truth. These were complex, carefully designed political systems, each one a sophisticated solution perfectly tailored to the culture and values of the people it governed. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. In a world where we're still grappling with the exact same questions, centralized versus local control, leadership by birthright versus merit, the role of faith in government, what can we learn from these ancient blueprints? Something to chew on? Thanks for joining us.